1, 2, 3. I love taking notes by hand. I am a bit old school like that, and I guess it's because I'm also a high school teacher. So I buy a lot of these books that I can take my notes in. This one is actually quite nice one with some nice paper in it. But the problem is the outsides get scuffed a lot. Now, I have filled many of these already, and I wanted to do something nice. So I am trying to prototype a cover for myself. Initially, I wanted one that I could just change over into a new one, but yeah, as you can see in the video, I decided against this. I bought some time ago a large bag of several kilos of this leather here, which is furniture leather. I bought it thinking that it was leather that I could use for other projects, such as knives and so on, but it's a bit too soft for that. But for a project like this, it is actually perfect. So, as I said initially, I was just browsing the idea of making a slip-on cover. But as I was working through this, I noticed that that would be a pain in the ass, and it wouldn't be easy just to slip out of it, because then it would sit loose on the book, and I wouldn't get any protection of it. So in the end, I tried two different things on either side of it. The one side I tried stitching it, and if I were to do it again, when I do it again, I will probably stitch the whole way up. But for now, I tried stitching one side, and the other side is riveted together, because I then decided to use some of my rivets that have screws on them, and then I kind of decided against it as well. So atypical of YouTube, this is not a direct how-to or anything like that. This is me showing my process of prototyping. I'm a very visual person, but I'm also a very learning by doing person. So, in a multitude of cases, most people would draw their ideas down, but I like to feel the material the same I do with when I wood turn. I have a vague idea in my head, and then I just work, and I see what happens. I guess with practice and over time, I would probably start drawing as well, and I like drawing my ideas down. But in the end, I like the feel when I work, and I like to have the material in hand and turn it over and see where we're going from here. So as anybody who works with leather would know, you have to keep a sharp blade all the time. And this X-Acto blade was apparently dull from previous use. I can't even remember what I used it for. There's something I regret later is that I don't cut this piece correct from the start. But it becomes a nice little feature with a pocket where I can put pens and other things. My original plan was actually to make it so I could have a shoulder strap for the book, so I could use it at the school for my notes and so on, just carry it around like that without having a need for a larger bag. I use these small clamps just to keep the placement of the hole, instead of having to constantly reposition and glue it. Because at this point I was still set on the idea that I wanted it to be detachable. And I just speed up the saddle stitching, because even though it is nice to saddle stitch and show the process and so on, it's not necessarily the most interesting to do. So I saddle stitch it, even though that might be overkill, but that way we're sure it sticks. I do sometimes saddle stitch with one needle through all the way, and then the second one. That's mainly when I do stuff like this, where it doesn't need to be super tight. And especially when you do softer leather like this, if you constantly pull them, it will just shrink together and wrinkle and it won't look nice. And then it's just a matter of repeating the process for the other side, and we don't have to see that. test fit the one side, and it actually looks nice. Although I now noticed a problem, which is there will be some lack of overlap, and when I'm done, there will be this lack of overlap. But instead of me droning on and on, you can enjoy the process, and I'll join you later. Big. That's okay. So I decided to put on the small buckles using a simple method of making a slit they can fit through, and then having a small piece of leather so they can go over the side of the booklet. Now the issue here was that I only had 9mm uh, rivets, and 10mm would probably have been slightly better. So a couple of times it flipped off, and I had to move it around and hammer it a lot. I still need to get a small arbor press or something like that when I put on rivets, but that is on my wish list for my workshop. I am still currently working on my workshop. It's now fully insulated, and I have a radiator, space heater set up out there. So I just need to finish an internal door that needs to be insulated, and then I can actually finish my workshop, and that will be ever so nice. The next step there would be to build the workshop with a table for my lathe and a little workstation for leather. But right now I have plenty of room on my desk, so I made a station for leatherworking, so I can keep up doing some crafting when it's raining and I can't work on building the workshop, or when it's minus degrees out here. So I finally get the little buckles on, and I do the same process with the other side, and I stamp a lot of holes into it. So here is the finished project, and you see the little nice buckles. They tightened as they should. The finish on the sides could have been better, but it's a prototype and just a test. I will make a second model, and I might show that, depending on if you want to see a more detailed how-to guide of how I actually would like this to look. If you have any feedback for me regarding this or other projects, you're welcome to send me an email or write a comment on this video. I enjoy sharing my work and my process, if you can call it that. And I enjoy getting all the feedback that I do on some of the videos. So please, don't be afraid to contact me with anything. As always, thank you for watching and have an amazing day.